Hello, everybody. Welcome back to High on Feminism. We are in season 2 of our podcast. It focuses on women entrepreneurs and, of course, the cannabis industry. Today, I have Chimere Faulk with me. She is the founder of Dr. Locks, which is the first premium product line dedicated to people with locks. Chimere, you can't see right now, but Marsha is over in the corner and she is excited about this. She found you. And I am so excited to get into this and learn a little bit more about you, how you started, all those good things. But welcome to High on Feminism.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah. So you're calling in from Atlanta, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is the weather doing in Atlanta right now?
It's pretty muggy, no sun, but it looks like it wants to rain. So it's kind of like, yeah. So it's just blah.
Yeah, it's pretty chilly up here. We're in this like New York weather right now where it's like 70 for a few days and then it goes down to 50 and everyone's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like it was my fault because I cleaned this weekend and I put my winter coats away and I was like, Jess, should you do this? Because every time you do this, it gets cold again. And I put them away in the closet and the next day it was like 42 when I woke up. So
my daughter's birthday was on Saturday, so I was watching the weather and it was supposed to be raining like 90% the whole weekend. But I was like, oh, and then Friday was like remarkable, so beautiful. So we celebrated on Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday, guess what? Like just rains like Saturday morning. That was it. It was pretty just decent the whole weekend, but it was not raining. So it's just been looking like y'all can't do nothing. Don't plan nothing. I might think about raining. That's what it's been looking like. So
yeah. Weather aside, it's going to be great weather soon. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yes.
But let's get into it. So when did you first create Dr. Locks? And, what was the idea behind it or the inspiration really behind it to create this company? So when you say the first premium product line, like what does that mean?
So I've been a loctician since professionally since 2006.
Okay.
I was the girl in the dorms doing everyone's hair back in the 90s and stuff. But I had locks for 10 years from 1997 to 2007. And as I was going through the experience where locks were still kind of growing, but the natural hair community was booming.
Yeah.
Chris Rock had his movie. I've been natural. I was the girl that got picked on when I was in high school because I didn't want to perm my hair. And so it was like I've always wanted and loved natural hair, but the world had to see it. So like when I started doing hair professionally, then I worked for this woman in her salon. She had a product that was for natural hair, but no one honed in on locks. And then like there was a few things you could Google and look underneath the back alley somewhere. And there was like a jar, and as I was doing clients, it was always an ongoing discussion about buildup. And I had went through that too when I first started my locks in the 90s. And it was disgusting. I'm from the beach, so you would go to the beach and then everything would rise up to the top. It was disgusting. So then I stopped doing that and I just started stuck with oils, as a lot of people do. So I heard that ongoing thing where it's like, I just oil, or I just make my own concoction. And that was always the thing I would hear. So as I moved on and created my own brand, which was the Natural Hair Lady, I branded myself in my living room, and people started noticing, I do lock extensions as well. So I branded myself as this person that really invests in locks. So that was my thing. That was my favorite thing. So people started flying me out to different cities because they wanted lock extensions. Lock extensions is a huge investment.
Yeah.
Although it's very popular, a lot of people spend a lot of money on some janky lock extensions. Like people are fucking people up. And then because someone's big following and it's like, oh my God, I want to get these things. And sometimes it's amazing. Sometimes it's horrible. So because I love to prove and show and all that, people flew me out. So now I have clients all around the country now, literally over the world. This lady flew in from Korea one time.
Oh, damn.
And yeah, right. So I was like, and then so the next thing was, what should I use?
Yeah.
And so then around this time, it was Carol's Daughter that was hot. Shea Moisture that was hot.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, these products were created for natural hair. And what will happen, it would be like a jar to that they would call it a lock butter something.
Yeah.
And anyone in the lock community knows that that is a big no-no, or it's apprehensive. It's like, and then, so you have two types of customers. You have the one that are OGs that had locks for years and years and years, and they make and do their own hair. They don't go to the salon. And you have the other client, the other customer, my other target audience, which is they're new to it. They're used to having a system. They might have been using Vidal Sassoon, Dove, Shea Moisture. They had a system that was their thing. Now they have this new lock. They have locks now. They want a system.
Yeah.
And so my background's advertising. So what I was taught is to solve a problem. You know, I never worked in an ad agency. I just used what I knew, which was, if you're going to make something, solve a problem. So as I hear my clients all over, I can't physically get to them. They were like, what can I use? What can I use? And I would literally tell them, use that. And then they would FaceTime me, no, don't use that no more. And it was always me, stop using that, stop using that. And they're like, damn, Chimere, like, what can we use then? I'm like, you know, and I worked for someone before, and her product, like, I just learned how not to do things and how to do things from people I worked under before. But now me as a business, I'm like, let me figure it out. I was like, hold on for a second. So I knew what I wanted the hair to feel like.
Yep.
I wanted to just, first of all, it was just starting off with one bottle. It wasn't going to be like a whole brand and all this stuff. I just wanted to give them something so they wouldn't have to be making my job harder. Because what was unbelievable is when locticians, and a lot of times people would be braiders and they would turn into locticians typically. You're washing hair and you can see all the gunk come up. That client doesn't see it, but I see it. And I'm like, who washed your hair last time? They were okay. And it was disgusting. And like the stigmas that people have with their job, it wasn't necessary. And I personally know it wasn't necessary because my locks didn't look like this. So then I was like, all right, hold a second. So I went online. I just searched like different oils and I knew kind of what I wanted, but I had no idea. I'm not a chemist or anything like that.
Yeah.
So this was literally, I feel like this is like my spirit guides, like coming into my dreams. And like, so I literally went up to a couple of like natural food retailers, went into the natural area, got some of my favorite essential oils, my different oils. And then me not knowing what the hell I was doing, went home, got water from the sink, shook it up with my oils, and it was like, all right, this works, you know? So I started using it and clients started loving it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right, cool. And then now they want to buy some.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'm like, okay, you know, I just gave them the recipe. I was like, just
make it yourself.
You know? Yeah. And they're like, no, I want you to buy. And I was like, oh, that's what retail is. Oh, something you could do yourself, but you want me to do it. Got you. So I went to Sally's, got me some little bottles. Yep. And got me some empty bottles, sold them for $5 a bottle. And then totally not even thinking about anything big about this. I just like how it worked.
Yeah.
I'll never forget this day. This is when Dr. Locks was born. Miss Brenda came. I always play on my clients' locks and look at them. It's like I can talk to locks, and I'm looking at their hair. I'm touching it, and we're catching up before I go shampoo. And I'm like, Miss Brenda, why is your hair so soft? And she was like, girl, that's stuff that you made. I was like, word.
Oh, nice.
Word. I never felt locks this soft before. And I was like, and like she keep talking, and I'm like, yo, this is something, I got something here. So from then on, I was like, I'm gonna make this into a business. And cause I know I didn't want to do hair for the rest of my life. Yeah. I wanted something that, cause my arms, everything's gonna get tired. I want something new. So I branded Dr. Locks, and I literally just went to work. I went, and I already had a blog. So there was like a gazillion questions clients would ask me, and I would always create those into blogs. But then I took those questions and I started creating a solution for it. And it literally, my clients I had between 2013 to 2016, I made the products on their hair.
Yeah.
So it would look like me. I have two daughters. They're now 12 and 14. Back then, they were probably like 4 or 5 or something like
Okay.
that. And I would make concoctions on the kitchen table and forget. I would make the concoction, use it on my client, fall in love with it, and then forget how I made it. Didn't write down the formula. And I would be so pissed. This might have happened 3 times. I gave up and I left it on the table and would tell my girls, we're gonna have a picnic in the living room. And I would put out a blanket and we would have dinner on the floor in the living room because I was so pissed. I didn't want to clean up. And then, but I knew I didn't want to give up, but I told myself I want to give up. And then eventually I would clean up. And then I learned, all right, now I have to forget, because I would get so excited. It was so much energy. I
Yeah.
was so excited because I could see it on their hair come to life, and it was doing what I wanted it to do. And my business brain knew that this was a market that the industry didn't know that was going to be popping.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was popping. I knew locks were popping. I had it for 10 years. But what I saw was, so when I started doing hair professionally in 2006 or 7,
Mm-hmm.
women would come in and be like, I want to transition from perm. They were tired of their perm. They just watched the Chris Rock movie, and it was like up and up and up. We were making so much money. And then, but what would happen, they would see other people in the salon and notice that the people with locks, they were CEOs, they were bosses, they were people in the community that were well spoken. I don't know what people thought of people with locks, but
Yeah.
they would smash that when they were in the salon, and they'd be like, hmm. And I remember this one woman, I can't remember her name, but she was very, very high class, upper class Atlanta. Her kids go to private school and everything, and every once in a while, she would keep asking about it. And before you know it, she'd call me, Chimere, I want to start locks. That's when I knew something's going on. And what would
Yeah.
happen, people with locks would stay there. They
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't change it. It wasn't a
It wasn't like
style.
just a short while or anything like that.
It
Yeah.
was a journey. And so I loved it. So I was like, let me hone in on this before all the big dogs come in and do their thing. And it's a trend.
Yeah.
But I want to go in and spread out and create a culture and change the culture, because I feel like people still have this stigma about who people are when they have locks.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the biggest issues that we're having right now too, especially with them kind of reevaluating the Crown Act. I don't understand why it matters what's on my head, but that's kind of where it stems from, really, is the fact of, as Black people, as people of color, we always have stigmas around the way that we wear our hair. I grew up in Vermont, and, my mom brought me to get braids, and get them beaded and everything like that. And I didn't really start wearing my hair out until I was in college, because I always had it up in a tight ass bun, never took my hair out. And then when I would straighten it, obviously that's damaging for it. And even when I was in college and I would wear it curly or straight for the longest time, I was just kind of I'd get so pissed because people would be like, oh, you did your hair today if my hair was straight. And I'm like, motherfucker, my hair is done if it's out in curls. What do you mean I did my hair today? So I think it's great that you're doing this. I have an ex that had locks for a long time, and I used to always be fascinated when I'd get to be there when his mom was doing them again and watch the whole. I'm like, this is a lot. This is a whole process,
right? And it doesn't have to be, and that's why I say, I say premium, because back when I first started, it was first hard to find something that was just, and find a space for people to find out more about locks. Now is a gazillion. I remember back then, I would Google the word LOCS, and I screenshot it. I'm gonna pull it up. It's probably in my Google photos, where it was just tools, these tools, wrenches or something like that. And I said, one day when people Google locks,
it would be hair.
Locks.
Yeah,
I beat the brain, but and so I wanted it to be, and I love the fact there's more products. I don't care for Dr. Locks to be the only thing. There's going to be more. We need more And so now to
Because
see
there's
us,
different hair textures, there's different things work for different people's hair styles, especially. So, yeah, like the more products we have, the better people are able to maintain their hair. And, then we get less people constantly. It's funny because one of the girls that works for me, I won't say her name to protect her privacy and this man's privacy. But one of the girls that works for me, she was dating a guy who had locks, and she was like, yeah, they're not the greatest. I need to find something that can like help him get his locks together. And I was like, yeah, help a brother out. Make sure that those locks look good. Like, because
Mhm.
again, I don't understand what everyone's obsession is with black hair. Obviously, I know ours obsession. Black hair is dope, but
Yeah,
for white people, I don't get what their obsession is with our hair and how we wear it. I don't think that it makes us any less professional, if we're wearing it curly or wearing it in braids or wearing it in locks. Like, it's not
yeah.
your fucking head. Why do you care?
It's but you know what? I feel like we have to. I know. I just it's weird, and it does affect us as far as where we work and how it's. I've been through all of that. Being told I needed to like I can't have locks. I can have this job, and I can't. I've heard those stories as well, but I feel like I just wish we were more obsessed. Now we are.
Yeah.
But I wish we really truly loved ourselves and our
Yeah.
hair, because even in every sector and every place that we're at, we still have some work to do when it comes to your hair. Not
Yeah.
like now there's an obsession with the locks that have curls end to end. And it's
Yep.
like, is that your hair? Like I'm more concerned about us. People gonna be people, and you know what, it's cool that they know that we're the bomb now. It's cool. I love this time. We can use it to our advantage to get to places where we need to go. But
Absolutely.
I'm more so as a teacher, as a nurturer, as a mama in the community. I wish we would love up on it truly. Like we think about love, but it's very loud
Yeah.
and all over the place. But I feel like true self-love is very quiet,
Mm-hmm.
and it is gentle, and it requires you to look at yourself in the mirror. That's why I love the beginning stages of locking, because it makes you look into who you are.
Yeah.
Are we all doing that? I don't know.
Yeah. I definitely don't think, I think some of us are trying to, and others are trying to help others get there,
Right. Right. And I don't judge anyone. It's just, and now I feel like I'm getting to become elders or older folks, because it's like you start seeing yourself, you start seeing your 18-year self, you see your 20. So then you have so much compassion for people. Like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
So
Different times, different
right,
times. I,
right.
I feel like I have seen a lot more people, especially women, going the lock route, which I love and I think is always really great. But I think that some people's hesitation on it and their misunderstanding is they feel like it's such like a commitment, like you have to, like, if you're going to do this, you have to commit to it for however many years. Like some people are locked their whole lives. Like my ex, he had locks
Mm-hmm.
from when he was like 7 years old, and
Mm-hmm.
he'll probably have them until he dies. Some
Mm-hmm.
people, go through phases where they have locks and they only have them for a little while. And then maybe I, I hear that there's a way to unlock your hair.
Yes, I did
Okay.
it.
Okay.
I did
Okay.
it. Yeah, I comb my locks out. Like, because you have like three stages in your hair. You have like the baby stage near your scalp, which is they're not locked yet. And
Hmm.
you have a few inches away. You have like the mushy locks that's been freshly locked. They're not
Yeah.
locked solid, and you have the ends. So I just cut off the more mature locks and combed out everything else. So
Okay.
yeah, like I tell people, like I'm not the type of, like, I guess people, because they think, oh, I'm Dr. Locks, and I'm like, everyone should locks. Like,
Yeah.
it is whatever floats your boat. It could be temporarily, it could be forever. I just don't condone like judging one another.
Hmm.
It's however you want to feel. Even the ones that might do it in a different way than I don't like it. It's I'm all about making sure your hair is not going to break off, the
Yeah.
health of the hair. That's all I care about. But it's so beautiful to see Like I was at a friend's birthday party the other day, and just seeing all these Black women and all of our colors and all these array of natural hair, different twists,
Yeah.
locks. It's just, it makes me want to cry because I remember when it wasn't like this, you
Yeah.
know, and to see it and to see people truly like beaming and just being like their beautiful self, you know. But
Yeah.
so I'm not really down for like what is, you should do it. It's definitely, well, I will say this. Every time I did start someone's locks, I paused on doing hair 2 years ago. It's always a journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been a journey, whether it be I'm going to eat better. I'm going to on my fitness journey. I just left my husband or wife. It's just a journey, and it's so beautiful for them to talk about it, and they're ready. So these
Yeah.
locks, the locks typically signify something to them,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So
Yeah, I'm on my own little hair journey right now too. I just shaved my head last February. So I shaved it, finally I would say in I think it was like end of September or early October. My hair was finally long enough to braid it. So now I'm going through the process of like having it in braids so it can grow out. And every time I take my braids out, I'm like, oh, look at this cute little afro. Like I just took it out before I got these braids, and I had like a little Angela Davis afro. It was so cute. I was like, okay, power to the people. I'm ready. But I really love the hair journey. I guess like my question would be like, what are some of like the biggest, like the top three, stigmas that you feel like people think when they think about locks? Like, what would they be exactly?
Number one, that they don't wash their hair.
Okay.
Which is why, I had to do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And then you know what? That comes from someone. A lot of times, there's a lot of locticians out there that no shade, that hadn't gone to school. I'm not licensed, so
Mm-hmm.
there's absolutely no shade. But I've been trained in a lot of licensed cosmetologists. They're against washing their hair for the first maybe year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pro that. So I feel like that comes from that stigma of like, oh, they don't wash their hair, because a lot of people are misled, they're miseducated. Not to say someone can't lock their hair and then not wash their hair. It's just that it's not necessary. People are learning this as we grow into life, we have more education.
Yeah.
So now there are ways. So that's number one. Number two, that I'm gonna just keep it real. Like people, like it's an attitude. They're against society.
Yes. Like anti-establishment means, which, back in the day, that was kind of where people are getting it from, because a lot of people
and that could still be true.
Yeah.
That still could be true
but well. It doesn't mean that every single person who has locks, is like, fuck the establishment.
Exactly, because I was definitely fuck the establishment when I grew my locks back in the 90s. And, as most teenagers do, because you're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
It's not Disney World, and it's an evolution. So what I'm saying is I'm wanting to create space for all the perspectives, no one is right or wrong,
Yeah.
So that's a second one. A third one, that someone's not able to do a job, that they're not able to work. And I mean, that goes with natural hair, period. But like, they're not able, it's not seen as professional, I guess, in a work environment. And I see that changing as well, which is good. But there are some places that still feel that way.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was a freshman, first semester, I remember her name was Cassandra. And I remember she was on my dorm floor. And I had my locks for about a year and a half by then, 1999. And she was like, have you thought about what you're going to do after graduation? Like, because you're not going to get a job. And I never been asked that question, because my parents are very chill. And I mean, I appreciate the question, because she had me thinking about something I never thought about.
Yeah, that's true.
It was kind of like, I never thought of that. I thank God for my parents, because they never pushed that in my head. My mom just wanted to be clean.
Yeah.
But so stuff like that, that happens a lot to people. And I told her, I'm going to show the world who I am. I remember that. I was like, I'm not concerned with that. And so when I have these young teenagers come in to see me every year, I get at least 2, typically they're guys. Their mom will bring them in and be like, oh my gosh, clutching her pearls. Please help me. He's about to graduate and he promised this for me for like his graduation. I don't know. Like she just wants him to get cleaned up for the world.
Okay.
And meanwhile, I'll be in his ear or her ear and saying, the world is going to be prepared for you, and it's like,
I like that.
It's so interesting.
The world is going to be prepared for you. Like
I have 2 little girls. One, my oldest is, she whacked all her hair off at, what was it, 12 or 11?
Okay.
She asked me and her dad. I'm like, really? This is like the next level of preparing the world, letting the world prepare for you.
Yeah.
But as I'm raising her this way, who's gonna check her?
Yeah.
So I taught her, you are attracting your thoughts all the time. So when she cut all her hair off, she was insecure about it, but she loved her hair, but it was different when she came out into the public. So she was, in her mind, she was thinking, people are going to think she's a boy, people are going to think this. And guess what? People would do that. So when she decided, and I told her, like, this is her problem, but you're attracting your thoughts. Now, baby girl, you can't keep her out the mirror now. She's 14. She doesn't get those. And we talk about that. I was like, remember when your thought process was this?
Yeah.
Now your heart and your brain is thinking this way. She doesn't get those conversations anymore. She doesn't get those, it's so interesting. So right then she got a lesson about the universe and how you attract your thoughts all the time.
Yeah. I mean, that was kind of like my personal struggle too. I was like, I always wanted like big, curls. I always wanted long hair and everything. And when you're growing up as like one of the only Black kids in a very white town, it's hard to like really like love your hair and love you and yourself. And so I always like, in my head, I was like, long hair is beautiful. Like, that's what I need. I need to have long hair. I need to have long straight hair, or I need to get extensions or long braids or whatever the hell it was. And then, I mean, like I talked about this a lot today, but it's just life. When I first found out in 2019, my mom passed away at the end of 2019. So in July of that year, when I was home and we had conversations with the doctors where they were kind of just like, this is what it is. Like, we don't know like how long this is going to be, but like, there's really no way for her to come back. And, I was dramatic as hell. So I came back to the city and I shaved half my head. I was like, I'm stressed out. Like, fuck it. I don't care. Like, I just want to shave my head. One of my best girlfriends is a barber, so she did it for me. And I rocked like a little patch, like half shaved for a while. And I think that like, I definitely think I'm like feminine, but I think that compared to some people, I'm like a little bit more masculine than feminine.
I feel you.
Yeah, so I was worried. I was worried about like people thinking I was gonna be like, oh, she gay because she shaved her head, like those ridiculous stigmas. So when I finally, I went through like let me do this half and then I'll do this and, all this weird shit. And I finally just shaved it all off. And I was like so nervous because I'm just like, the first thing you think is like hair makes you beautiful. And now I have no hair. So I feel ugly, But then after a while, I feel like I was like your daughter where I was like, oh, let me look at this. It's going good, And just like the thought of like I think everybody should shave their head. I think the thought of like revitalizing your hair and, for me, like I've seen baby pictures where I have this big Afro puff and, before I shaved my hair, like I didn't have that, like it'd been weighed down from being straightened and relaxed for so many years. And, I went through so many hair color dyes, so it was like not the greatest. It was kind of repairing itself because I stopped straightening my hair. but it wasn't fully there. Now, when I take my braids out and I see my curls, I'm like, oh, look at these soft ass curls. They have like not been touched by anything, which is like the best thing to do. But the whole point of this little shebang was the hair journey and just like the relationship that we have with our hair and how it makes us, you know, feel differently about ourselves and how it makes society feel differently about us based on like what we have on our head, you know?
Exactly. Yes, I send love to you with your mom. She's definitely around you and rooting you on. We definitely, I feel like we definitely as women go to our hair first when we're going through something. I've had many phone calls with people. My clients will say, you know, they went through something right then, and like, Chimere, they already started the process. They whacked all their hair off and they touched it up. But before they get to that, I always tell them, like, is this something that is temporary, or, you know, because sometimes people will regret doing it, you know, and then some people, you know, and I feel like it's liberating. When I was I left their father, my children's father, back in 2011, and I too went and shaved half my head.
Yeah.
So the other half was long and the other half is short,
Yeah.
very short. And then I ended up whacking the other side off because I don't know what it is. It's kind of like,
it just feels freeing. And I think it's kind of like a fuck you to like dudes, especially. It's like, oh, you think I'm only sexy if I have long hair? Well, fuck you.
Right.
Buzz that shit off.
Right. And then I think someone actually said something to me in the salon around that time because they were like, oh, I bet you won't. Because it had grown pretty long. Because I just had these kids. So I had that pregnancy hair.
Yeah.
So they was like, oh, I bet you. They thought I was tied to my hair. And the way I am, I'm always about, oh, word, you know me? Yeah. And so that was kind of what it was too. Like, fuck this. My hair will grow back.
Yeah.
Boom. And it did. And they never thought I would have done it. But I did. It felt so good. And it was. And then when I whacked the other side, it was like, wow, like I never seen myself before, you know, like this and stuff. And then it was just dope to see my daughter go through it and feel it. And she, honey, like, I don't think she'll ever want hair on her head, but she's definitely not trying to grow it back.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen, like, I don't know why, but I just feel like Black women look amazing with shaved heads. Like,
oh my gosh.
Anytime I've seen a Black woman with a shaved head, I'm always like, oh, you look so great.
So you know what? It is an internal beauty. So I've had women that no matter what I tell them, they have to see it. We had this woman, she called me and my partner, and she was like, oh my God, my hair is short. I had to get a cut. I look so whack. I look so ugly. And we were like, come on in. She was nearby. Girl, this woman was so goddamn fine. She came in here, but she didn't see it. She didn't see it. Everyone in the salon was rooting for her, but she did not see it. And I say yes, but then I also know when women really feel their beauty, and I can feel it when they don't see it too. Yeah. You know, and it's like, it's different, you know, I don't know if it's vibration, but it's like
it's almost like a sadness, or like you can kind of feel that they're uncomfortable in themselves. Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. And so I've noticed that so many times that I have like an untouched self-confidence about myself because I notice it in other women, how they don't see it. So I was like, I know it's something I don't see. So let me try to start off pretending. And then eventually I will see it because we all have it. But I mean, it just requires certain type of swag and confidence as well. So.
Yep. The funny thing is like, well, it's not funny actually, but
but we're gonna laugh anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna laugh anyways. But you know, a couple of years ago, I like really was like kind of having to learn how to like shift my brain intentionally on, you know, when I see a woman, you know, why is it sometimes the first thing I do is like pick apart something about her, you know? And I think that is just naturally something that society has kind of ingrained in women's heads, is to feel threatened or, you know, to feel inadequate to the woman next to her, because it's such like a competitive jobs, competitive man, women, whatever you want to, you know, that whole thing. And I was like, Jess, why are you doing this? You know, like why are you doing this? Is this making you feel better in any way? No. And maybe what you should try to do is whenever you see a woman now, either internally or, you know, if you externally to say it, find something about them that you like and either say it in your head, even if it's just like, oh, I really like her earrings, you know, like trying to shift my mind more positively on like how I view women. And so especially because I went through the whole awkward shaved head, what did I do? But I love it, but I'm still terrified phase. So if I see women, especially Black women, you know, with locks, with their heads shaved, like whatever, I like to verbally like voice it to them that, you know, I think they look beautiful.
My mom is the world's cheerleader. She doesn't know a stranger. She's a Sag. And I personally never been that woman. I see it and I know what we do. I'll say we because we're all one, right? I've always been the woman, and I naturally became a hairstylist because I'm always, even be a white girl, Puerto Rican, Black girl, I'm like, girl, it's like something in them because it starts with us.
Yeah.
It starts with us. And I appreciate you being vulnerable and being honest because it is a real thing. And I feel like the more of us, when we start loving ourselves more, the more of us go, and all my circles like that too. We're like, girl, yeah. More of us, when you get that, if I see a woman that does that to other women and I go and root for her, she'll be like, oh, goddamn. And it's a seed that's planted inside of her.
Yeah.
And then she'll start doing it.
Exactly. It's like a little ripple effect.
Exactly. I've had friends that first met me, we were working together, and they told me later on they thought I was really phony because they never met anyone that was this genuinely nice to people, and especially around women. And I mean, they would be honest, you know, but it took them like 2 years to realize shit's not going to change.
Yeah.
And they had to get to know me as far as why I'm this way. And I'm for damn sure. So one example, my daughters, I was gonna say I'm for damn sure ain't gonna have it in my house either. So my daughter, my oldest, we were waiting in the waiting area of Olive Garden, and she was about maybe 6 or 7 around this time. And then there was some teenagers came in there, and they were all cute, pocketbook, jewelry, and they walked through. And then my daughter was like, why do they think they're all that, mommy? And something like that. I was like, I said, do you think you're all that? She's like, she didn't understand why I was asking that. And I know her, she's working on herself.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe if you felt good about yourself and you felt like you're the bomb, you would know why they are doing and looking and feeling the way they are feeling.
Yes.
And ever since then, it's like you're looking at yourself constantly.
We project.
So, right. And even if you're around some friends that are doing that, check them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I just don't have no time for it.
Yeah.
And lie to yourself. Like you say, like
just be like, you look dope. Even if you don't feel it, you just tell yourself that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, self-image is so important, and I feel like hair is such a big part of that. I think too, like being like a woman entrepreneur, like that also has to do a lot with like yourself, you know, like making sure that you think that you can do this and you're dope. Because I remember when I started my business, I was like, what am I doing? Like, why did I do this? I'm like, no, you got this. It's fine. Like everything's going to be great, you know? But there are those mornings where you wake up and you're like, Jesus, why did I do this? Like,
right. What am I doing? What did I think about? Why?
Yeah. What were like, who were, I guess, some of the people in your life that were probably like the most supportive when you were like starting your business?
Ooh, man. My mom and dad, number one.
Yeah. Like, shout out to Pops and Mom.
I got videos of them in my living room. Don't know what they're doing. I fired both of them eventually, but they were in my house pouring and messing up and doing their thing. But they did that. My parents, definitely, my family. And then like I used to work at Apple for 2 years. So a lot of them were my friends. I used to just make friends out of work, and they all would come in and volunteer, and all my closest friends. And I tell a lot of new business owners, you can't require or expect all your friends and family to be your customers. I feel like that's a lot of people get a little disgruntled. They're online putting out indirect messages all the time. No one want to support me. They're not your they're not your target audience. If
Yeah.
you're a real business, you need to understand what a target audience is
Mm-hmm.
and understand who your cheerleaders are.
Yeah.
Your friends and family are your cheerleaders. Okay.
Yeah.
And it is expected for you to do that's a part of having a business. You have to figure out who your target audience is.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's kind of lazy to expect them to be the ones that's gonna support. Doesn't always come in buying something.
Yeah.
You know,
sometimes it's just listening to you bitch about something.
Well, yeah, that support. So yeah, we have different support systems as well. For me now, back then I didn't have any business owner friends, but now I do. And I feel like that's a really huge business. That's a huge big support system now, because there's a lot of bitching, there's a lot of crying, I had a nervous breakdown last week. You know, so it's a lot of them. And being honest with those nervous, I jokingly, I didn't really have one, but I jokingly say it's a nervous breakdown. Like, you're really allowing yourself to break down so you build yourself up. And that's why I like to coach and help and assist people in the back end, whether it be online, offline. And so they can see how the crazy stuff is normal, you know, just like being a mom. Like, when I was a new mom, it was so necessary for me to have other new moms around me, so we could talk about our boyfriends and our husbands and, oh my God, and all this stuff.
Like, is my baby still alive?
Right. It's real, but just all the ugly. We all want to be extra pretty nowadays because we have social media, but I like to get into the ugly stuff. And it's not about honing in and crying about the same things, but we allow ourselves space. That's what it's about, creating space for one another.
Yeah.
And then say, all right, bitch, I'll give you 5 more minutes, but you gotta get up. You know, you have to. And if you don't, you're gonna have a real nervous breakdown.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, when I started out too, like I always like heard about people who had like mentors and stuff like that. And I was always like, oh, like that's interesting. Like, how do I get one of those? And then it wasn't until I kind of, was like a year or so into my company where I realized this one woman who I had met at other jobs prior to me starting my own company. We were just always crossing paths in the industry. And she was a little bit older than me. She was Black. She was kind of like the functional sister I never had. And it was great. And, she was kind of doing her own thing too. And it was so nice to be able to chat with her about just her struggles in the industry that we were in as a Black woman too, and listen to how she navigates it and, really understanding like your time. Like, for me, I always get stressed out at the end of the day because I'm like, oh my God, I have all this stuff that I need to send. And then I'm like, Jess, like, it's 6:00 at night. You can close your computer. Okay. Like, the world is not going to implode, in the next like 18 hours before you open it again for work tomorrow. Like, take your time to like move to the side. She like helped with, like my business models in the sense of like payments and stuff like that. And she was like, girl, I don't do shit until that money hits my bank account. And then once it hits, sure, then we can schedule all the calls in the world that you want. And it like, you kind of understand where people are coming from, where they're like, oh, I'm paying for a service that I haven't even gotten yet. But then it's also like, people start to feel entitled to your time if they don't pay you right away. And then it's like, if they're not happy about one specific thing, they can just decide not to pay you, And it's like, you've already put in all this time and effort, regardless if it yielded the results you were looking for. So yeah, you got to pay me for my time.
And that requires good branding right there. That requires good branding. I have everyone I work with pretty much requires money up front. But it's their branding. And so it's a mind flip,
I feel like it's the same thing as like retail, like you're not going to send people your product until they pay, so it's kind of the same thing.
Right. It's just, I used to do the graphic design and people would, I learned so much about people and business and services. Like, it's like, imagine us having the ball. Whoever has the ball has the control, So it's like, you could put the ball in their lap and they're going to be like, this, especially if you're offering discounts. Cause it's kind of like you begging, like, come on, Big Daddy, please give me some business. Like, you try to really beg for them. But you take the ball and the art of it, because I feel like we got a little out of control with this, with the boss bitch industry, like it's like, all right, I'm branding, I'm in control, but then there's a way to be like civil with that,
Mm-hmm.
convincing for people to come your way.
Yeah.
That it's okay to come over here and give me my money first,
Yeah.
So it's definitely people learning and trying, but I just believe in so yeah. I can go into that.
I know, right? There's so many things that I feel like I can always talk about with our guests too, because there's so many like wide range of subjects that we're affected by. And I'm just like, how do we fix all of this in an hour time? Like, how can we fix this? But I mean, as far as like your brand is concerned, how large is the team? Is it just you? Like, what are your plans, for
Lord,
this
no.
year?
Oh my gosh. So my team is very small. It's actually gotten down a little bit so right now it's a team of 6, including myself. It's
Okay.
5 people. We went up to about 7 this last year, and I had to cut down a little bit because the business is still doing this little woo thing. And I think it's coming back up, but the economy is doing something. So I don't really like to focus on like the economy and having something else outside of myself being the reason for everything. So, but yeah, we have a small team. Last year, I was running Dr. Locks from my apartment from when I started, like 2013, 2014, officially 2016. I started hiring people 2016 to last year in my apartment. And I got a warehouse, 7,200 square foot. Yes, nice. Last year. I said yesterday. It feels like yesterday. But yeah, and then it was just like the whole learning about, I got all these overhead costs. Like, this is different. And I feel like I've just learned that lesson recently, and just organizing and budgeting better.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we're a small team. And then, you know what? It's so interesting with everyone supporting Black businesses, small Black businesses, blah, 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 until they realize you're not Amazon. Yeah. I feel like with our culture, we've gotten spoiled with Amazon. I love Amazon as well. I just want everyone to realize that, like, what it means to be a small business, because although we support small businesses, we don't really understand it until it's you, until it's your situation, where as long as the company is being honest about, procedures or shipping times and stuff like that, it's just being more compassionate for small businesses. We've all been into those small mom and pop restaurants where they'll say, hey, we are a small business, please be mindful that it may take longer for this chicken biscuit to be made or whatever, So just being mindful that this is a really legit small business. And I feel like with the branding I've done, people may not understand that. People never understood that, honestly. When I was in my apartment, people were asked to come take a tour in our facility, and it was my kitchen. And so just be aware that, it's a small business. When I Amazon, you can literally scroll before you buy to find out when you're going to have it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the interesting thing, I feel like, too. Just the idea of like small business. Like, I currently have a home office, so my team meets like at my apartment as well. So when they come to the office, they're coming to my home, and people don't realize that. And we have a nice little background and everything for Zoom calls and stuff like that, but they don't realize that I'm technically in the second bedroom of my apartment. Like, this isn't a real office, We had we had an incident a couple weeks ago where a package for the podcast itself was set to get delivered to my house. And I was on a call and I got downstairs too late and someone had stolen it. And, we let the people know, and I was like, hey, this is what happened. And they were like, how are you running a business like this? Da, da, da. And they got really upset with me. And I was like, first of all, like, I'm a small business. Like, I'm working from my apartment. It's my apartment building, And he's like, well, you need to pay us back. We sent you almost $1,000 worth of products. And I was like, first of all, we did not ask for that. We asked for like 4 items. You chose to send us excess products. Like, sorry, that's all you. But
Mm-hmm.
we're asking you to sponsor our podcast, meaning like we need money from you. So what makes you think that I
Mm-hmm.
can give you $1,000 for these products that you sent me that got stolen completely out of my control? And it's just like the idea of like, he tried to argue that he was a small business and da 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 da. And I was like, then you should understand, like this, it just
Yeah.
happens. It's Brooklyn. What are you
Yeah.
gonna do? Shit
Yeah.
happens.
Especially Brooklyn. You're not in Idaho somewhere. And
Yeah. Like
that's
it was a whole thing. But like the
it's,
small business thing, to your point, like agreed. People don't really understand what you're
they don't.
doing to make this business happen. And
And I and I
no.
think it's important for a small business to explain that. That's why, and it's a win-win for us because people want to they want to support a small business. They want to know more. We're more nosy nowadays, so we have social
Mm-hmm.
media, and so any marketing person will tell you to show more of yourself
Yep.
and your truth with your business.
Tell all my
And
clients that.
on the flip side of that, your customers will have more compassion about your business and more sympathy about your business because of what's going on. It's not you asking for like, all right, y'all, I ain't gonna do nothing, but it's like, hey, y'all, like I literally like to bust out my phone and goes live so people see like this is a
Yeah.
magical place, but there's one person making product, one person loading products, the packages, another.
Yeah.
So it's like then oh, okay, they can see
Yeah.
instead of trying to pretend like to be this huge. I don't want to pretend to be Amazon.
Yeah.
I don't want to. And I feel like new business owners may feel like they need to feel that way to feel big, but
Mm-hmm.
it's actually going to work against you.
Yeah.
Being honest and being upfront, that's my forte.
Yep.
And then, and we all mess up. Being real with yourself I know I don't believe every customer is right. I don't. I'm just upfront with
They're
that.
not.
And then we're not always right all the time either.
Yeah.
And all we can do, all of us can do, is do our best.
Yep.
And correct mistakes. So it's just, I feel like customers and people that never ran a business sometimes have this unrealistic viewpoint on people that run businesses, that they have a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
That it's just unrealistic. And I think it's just important for us to share all the ins and outs. I have no problem. Like, I'm not going to ever go work for someone, but if I had to, baby, you get one job and I get paid. Like, that's one job. But when you're owning a business, you're all the things. Even if you hire these people, you have to be hovering and making sure they're doing their job. And so I am against people shitting on people that work for businesses and stuff, because it's like, those are the people I'm talking about, like people that are like, I run a business, y'all don't know about this life, I got freedom, until they have to hire someone to run their business.
Mm-hmm.
And then it hits different, because are you going to shit on those people working for you?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, I hear everything you're saying. We're going through like hiring new people right now. And my team definitely hears me all the time being like, guys, we have to think about like how much this is costing us. Like, and of course, like they're there to help out, but they also like, they're not responsible for these payments. So they're not really thinking about it as much.
No.
Like, bringing ideas that I'm like, that's a great idea. Do you know how much that would cost to make that idea happen? Money we don't have. So,
and you also want to be careful with that too, because it's like an energy with it when it comes from lack. Not that maybe that's not where you're coming from, but meaning there's a way to maybe say where it's like, all right, to help them break it down for themselves. And like, all right, how much? Okay, maybe this is what I'm learning, literally. Like giving them a budget for that, because they don't. They see you as boss lady, and she's gonna make it work, and she's gonna make it happen, But it's like, it just reminds me when I was little and my parents trying to do their best, but then I always heard you don't know how much that's gonna cost. Like, it was like, you know what? It's like it's a coming from a place of lack, you know. So I tell people, running a business and everything, friendships, parenting, there's love and fear.
Yep.
You can break everything down to love and fear. And so when you are doing your business, be aware where, and I'm not talking to you, Jimmy, I'm talking just in general. It's just
Yeah.
this stuff I would tell people. Be aware where we're coming from, because as a business owner, we are like the root of the business. So people will mock how we say and what we think and all the things, you know. So it's not like you're a big pimping out here and you just dash your money out, but it's like, all
I
right,
wish.
we get there, you know. But you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's such great advice too. And yeah, it's always like a struggle because I sometimes have to like check myself and make sure, like you said, like I'm saying it in a way that's like positive still in some sort of capacity so that people aren't feeling discouraged. But then, you know, it's like the stress of like everything else you're thinking of. I'm like, last week I got on a Zoom with them, my team, and I was like, I quit. Like, I'm just over this week. I cannot participate anymore. Like, I'm done. You know, this week I feel like a little bit more like revitalized and ready to roll. But last week I was just in my feelings and I was like, I can't do this anymore.
You know what? And that's honest. That's another thing about me is I love astrology. I've been studying astrology since I was in high school. And so I've been studying under this woman recently, well, for the past like 6-7 years. But that's another thing I like to look at, because like you said, last week was like, this week is like, oh, okay. Same here, right? And like I told you, I had a nervous breakdown last week. And so like every week, like this woman will give us like a read for the week. Okay. And so like just because we don't realize like how we are tied to this earth in the world and all that. So as we're going through these motions, we're all going through the same motions per like every 3 days, the moon is a different sign. Yeah. And you know, and it's not by coincidence when there's a full moon, we all heard, oh, it's a full moon. It does something to us. Yeah. Yeah. You know, and
what's your sign?
I'm a Cancer.
Oh, you're a Cancer. Marsha's a Cancer too. She's pretty psyched right now.
Cancer?
I'm a Capricorn.
Capricorn? Okay, I can feel that.
I was just going to say, I was like, I feel like you're going to say that you could feel that. Everyone says.
It's a balance, because like my right-hand man, he's a Capricorn. Like he's been with Dr. Lux since day one, and he's a Capricorn. That man, like, worker. Y'all don't stop, you know. And I feel like you need the balance, you know.
Definitely.
And Capricorns and Cancers, we're the mamas and daddies of the whole astrology as well. So people, you know, they can say what they say about it. I don't use it to judge people. I use it to help myself know how to communicate to people and pass other people, just as far as the you know, the astrology and what's going on with the world and how we move. You know, on Wednesday, you may feel like you might need to shout at everybody, but then an astrologer may say, wait till Saturday, you know? Yeah. And so it's just there to help us so we can move with everything and move with the world, especially per your sign. Yeah, it's so deep on so many levels.
Oh yeah, and I just started, like, one of my best friends is very into it, so she always, you know, gives me the deets about everything. But I've read my chart before, and it is really crazy to see like how spot on it is, and even things that like maybe people that know you wouldn't know about you, but you reading it, you're like internally like, yes, I do that. Like,
yes,
that is
and me. The more important, I got 2 points. Know your whole chart. So like the reason why a lot of times people will say they don't get that stuff, I don't believe in that stuff, I get it. Past religion, all the other stuff. Yeah. Their sun sign is just like,
it's just a small part.
It's a small part. My rising's a Gemini. My moon's a Pisces. I got all this Gemini in my chart, all this other stuff. And I never felt like a Cancer growing up. You know why? Is because like my parents both are thugs in my mind. They're like gangster. They don't cry, nothing like that. So growing up, I was this really... my nickname was Chimere. I wanted to cry. I was crying all the time. So I grew up feeling like I was being too emotional. So what happens around 10, a lot of us have our traumas and stuff that happen around like 8 to 10. Typically people, their rise and shine shows up. Okay. And they don't show up as their sun sign anymore. They show up as their rising, because your rising sign is a sign that protects you from being hurt. So my Gemini showed up. So instead of me being true to myself, I would just talk my way out of it.
Yeah.
Or I will shoot back information just like a Gemini does. And so during my journey, my healing journey, as we have forever and ever, I learned to sit still in my sun sign so that people can see who I truly am.
Yeah.
So and then also please look into your human design. Like that will blow your mind. Use the same information about your astrology, but human design will blow your mind. That's a whole nother podcast.
I love that. Well, Chimere, this is honestly like the greatest. I loved all of this. It's so great to finally meet you. I hope that we can, have you up in New York at some point. We're trying to do more like women-focused, cannabis-focused events and stuff like that. I would love to introduce you to Dr. Plummer of Onyx Therapy Group. They're the mental health organization that we work with out of DC. She has locks. Her and her wife both have locks. And I know that she's been, just looking to support more like Black-owned, women-owned brands. I think y'all would also like, as I'm talking to you, like, I'm like, I feel like her, Dr. Plummer would be like besties,
Yeah.
Like y'all have like great energy. She's a Virgo, so yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love Virgo. Virgo's my people. Oh my God.
I will definitely have to have y'all connect. But where can everybody find you online, socials, all that good stuff?
So drlocks.com is my product line. I'm also coaching people with their business. So you can find me at chimerefaulk.com. That's ChimereFaulk.com. Dr. Locks is all over the internet as the name DRLOCS on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, everywhere. And drlocks.com as well. Yes.
You on TikTok?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
I'm learning. I'm not TikToking as much as I should be TikToking. So.
All right. I'll have to check it out because I'm very new to TikTok. I don't have it, but I will watch your videos, see what's going on. But thank you again, Chimere. This was amazing. Everyone else, be sure to follow us at High on Feminism. Instagram is where you can find us the most, and on our Woke Media YouTube channel where you can check out the pre-show. Thanks, y'all.